The year was 2014. I'm in Spanish class. For some reason that only God knows, our teacher decides to ask all the guys in the class who their celebrity crushes are. You know, most teenage guys at the time are saying Kate Upton, Scarlett Johansson, Jennifer Lawrence, whoever the it girls were in 2014. But no, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 had just come out, so obviously I said Emma Stone. My teacher proceeds to stop the class, single me out, and ask me, is she the one with the bug eyes? And then does this. The whole class laughed, and I was humiliated. And I stand by that decision to this day because, yeah, maybe she does have bug eyes, but those bug eyes are also the reason she's one of the greatest ever at what she does. Let's indulge. The makings of a legendary career started back in 2007 when a small coming-of-age comedy hit the theaters. I'll never forget the first time I saw Superbad. I was in that middle school, end of elementary school range where high schoolers kind of felt like myth. They were the gods of whatever town you resided in. But something so authentic about Superbad is that it actually looked and felt like high school. And that was, of course, helped and shaped by some of the more grounded performances like Emma Stone's in that movie. But even looking back now, after almost 20 years in the game for Emma Stone, her role and her performance in that movie really makes a lot more sense. That early part of her career was dominated by comedy. Outside of Superbad, you had movies like Easy A and Zombieland and Crazy Stupid Love, all that were helping to build this identity for Emma Stone as an actress. It was always clear that she had very strong comedic chops. And the thing about comedy is, it's much easier to transition from comedy to drama than it is to transition from drama to comedy. Comedy is this innate thing within you. Of course, you can work on it, you can shape it, maybe you can get a little bit funnier, but it's really hard to just randomly develop that timing and that natural wit or instinct. Some people got it, some people don't. So you take a comedic actress like Emma Stone, and you're seeing her talent in all these early roles, and then it comes to the point in her career where she decides she wants to grow into something more than just the coming of age or young adult comedies, which is a risk in itself. Of course, she understood herself and she knew herself to be multifaceted, but a lot of the studio execs, a lot of the people in Hollywood didn't know that yet. And you see lots of different actors and actresses talk about this who make the transition from a certain niche or from being typecast into another entirely new genre. Matthew McConaughey has talked about this a lot of late. Going from rom-coms into the drama sphere was an incredibly tough jump for him. Similar for Emma Stone, people only saw her as the girl next door, quirky comedy girl. And then it was the early 2010s into the mid 2010s where you started to see things shift. You had more dramatic roles in there with The Help and Birdman. You had a leading lady role with the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And then in 2016 came La La Land, a movie that would change everything, a movie that would win her first Oscar. Her performance in this one is generational, of course, but there's one scene in particular I want to break down. One scene that after I left the theater, I still remember this day thinking that was the scene where she truly became a star. And that scene is the audition sequence in La La Land. What makes the audition scene so powerful, it's not just the emotion, it's how technically controlled Emma Stone is while appearing completely raw. She starts with almost no movement, letting her stillness draw us in. Every breath is timed, her phrasing has this natural rise and fall that mirrors the story she's telling. She barely blinks, the camera stays locked in close up, and she trusts the silence instead of overacting. Even when her voice cracks, it's not accidental. She leans into imperfection like it's part of the rhythm. It's one of those performances where she understands exactly how much the lens amplifies. So she does less, and somehow it feels like more. Everything else drops away. The lights, the camera movement, even the music around her. It is just the viewers and Emma Stone, and a scene that she puts on her back and carries all the way home. Remember those eyes I talked about at the beginning of the video? It's the intimate scenes and the intimate moments like this one that allow those things to shine. She has such this expressiveness in her face, whether it's her smile, whether it's her eyes, whether it's the small micro movements she's able to capture. Of course, when you are acting, you're not necessarily thinking too technically about acting, but she has trained these natural tools that she has to get the most out of her performances. Similar to comedy, you can't always teach this expressiveness. Of course, I could sit in front of the mirror all day and just move my face around uncontrollably, trying to get my extremities to do whatever. But it's more so linking those crazy movements to actual emotions and actual feelings. And she has mastered that. Every single part of her career has been a stepping stone, has been a building block where she has learned or mastered certain tools that she later uses down the road. And her performance in Poor Things is a perfect example of this. Her performance is so grounded in physical comedy, and it allows her to use that expressiveness mixed with the physical comedy that gives her the ability to put on yet another Oscar-winning performance. A scene in that movie that I think demonstrates this more than any other is the dinner sequence scene with Mark Ruffalo. This scene is almost the opposite kind of brilliance from the audition scene. Bella is sitting at this absurdly proper dinner table, surrounded by men who think they understand the world, and she just detonates all their ideas in real time. The way Emma Stone plays it is genius. She's totally unbothered, eating with her hands, laughing at the very concept of shame. Her physicality says everything. Shoulders loose, eyes curious, mouth always half smiling like she's in on a joke no one else gets. You can literally see her discovering agency right there at the table. It's both hilarious and strangely moving, watching a character realize that freedom doesn't need to be learned. It's already living inside of her. Her timing is razor sharp. Every pause sticks the landing. Every laugh is calibrated to cut through the overall stiffness around her. She choreographs chaos in an eloquent and spontaneous way.
A man over there repeated blinks at me. I blinked back. For polite, I think.
Her movement is jarring, but it feels so at home to who the character of Bella Baxter is. Poor Things really was the role that allowed her to use every single tool in her toolbox, and she knocked it out of the park. But it was also a role that not many others could have succeeded in. It was a role that required true vulnerability, true comedic chops, a true willingness to get really weird. Really, really weird. And I think this partnership that she's built with Yorgos Lanthimos over the last 7 or 8 years has really brought out that weird side of her in the best way possible. She has now done 4 movies with Yorgos. The Favorite, which got her nominated for another Best Supporting Actress. Poor Things, which won her Best Actress. Kinds of Kindness, which I kind of saw as a B-side to Poor Things in a way, but also still a good performance. And then most recently, Begonia, which is going to net her another Best Supporting Actress or maybe even Best Lead Actress. I don't think she'll win because the Academy's not going to want to give her a third already, but this does not diminish her performance in that movie at all. I'm actually going to be dedicating an entire video to the movie Begonia next week because I loved it that much, and it is something you've got to see. And it is yet another Emma Stone character that is so much fun, and it's just, there's nothing left to really say about her. She just gives her all in every single role she does, and it shows. Winning the Oscar so early in her career for La La Land almost freed her up to just do these weird roles. Of course, she also worked with Ari Aster on Eddington this year, another role that just continues to get further and further away from the roles that really established her in Hollywood. In Eddington, she played the conspiracy cult freak, and then in Begonia, she plays the CEO that is targeted by the conspiracy cult freaks. The duality of Emma Stone. It's refreshing to see a star in Hollywood who's had a very organic journey to the top of the totem pole. Her career didn't blossom overnight. It was crafted by methodical steps, each one hitting and each one lending credence to the next. This incredibly well-rounded career is no coincidence. She constantly reinvents herself on the camera. She never seems to be chasing trends. She seems to be the one creating them. I have this memory, and this video seems to be chock full of them. It was 2009. The movie Zombieland had just come out, and me and all my friends got together to go and see it. Well, we saw it, we got out of that movie, And I remember one of my friends saying, the redhead is gonna be a star. I don't know if I was high on candy or something at the time, but I wasn't really involved in this conversation. But I remember my other friend responding, that is a crazy take, there's no chance. To my other friend who said there's no chance. That had to be the most wrong anyone's ever been in their entire life. Emma Stone does it all. She's a risk taker. She's a technical auteur. She's expressive. She's got range. What more do you need out of an actress? This is only the start of what promises to be one of the greatest careers in Hollywood. And I am so thankful to be able to live through it in real time and experience it as Emma Stone continues to grow. This has been yet another video from the Chich Files. Guys, if you want to give it a like, a subscribe, a comment, whatever it is you do on this platform, I don't know, why don't you just go ahead and do it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you guys next time. Take care.